This is the eHealth Radio Network, your source for health advice on demand. And now your host, Eric Michaels.
Thanks for joining us once again here on the eHealth Radio Network. This is your host, Eric Michaels. eHealth Radio gives you the most current health information, news, and advice featuring some of the leading innovators in healthcare and wellness who are changing healthcare as we know it. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. Today we're speaking with Mr. Dan Markel, the founder and CEO of Rise Medical, a first-of-its-kind community of medical professionals and sexual wellness experts dedicated to the personalized treatment of vitality issues through integrative care. And Mr. Markel, thanks for joining us here today on eHealth Radio.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you out, and really appreciate your time today. Now, millions of people suffer in silence from sexual wellness and intimacy issues. Of course, we understand Rise Medical has launched in the health and wellness space to illuminate sexual wellness as a key pillar of health, empower people to enter into a meaningful conversation about it, and provide effective, non-invasive solutions. Now, being the CEO of Rise Medical, how did you get into this space and what drove you to help people in this area? That would be the first question. And secondly, how do you help people to not shy from hiding the issues, but rather seek out help to live a full life, especially in this area?
You got it. No, I appreciate the question. Yeah, and it really was from a personal story, my own upbringing that kind of led me to this. My mom, first of all, was the daughter of a doctor. She always had a dream of me being a doctor. Instead, I ended up being a healthcare entrepreneur. And fortunately, growing up, my mom and dad divorced very early, so I grew up with 7 kids, with a single mom raising all of us back in the Midwest here. And that really impacted how I felt as a young kid growing up. I was a pretty good student, pretty good athlete, but my dad wasn't around. So being part of a divorced marriage and having that as an element of my upbringing really impacted me. It was something that, when I was growing up as a teenager, I really felt that I wanted to have a successful marriage. I wanted to be a good dad and be around for my kids. So that was something on a personal level that really kind of drove me to making that a real commitment very early on when I was a young guy. And listen, my wife is the co-founder of the company, Kathleen Welch Markel, and we got really lucky the first time around. We met in high school. It was love at first sight, and we went on to get married and have 4 beautiful kids. And then as it relates to the company here, we started discovering kind of our 30s, 40s, and 50s when we, a few years ago, started realizing what we'd experienced as a marriage and being part of a marriage that was successful. A lot of things that we went through were relatable to other people. Listen, we were both type A's, both strong energy, stubborn, strong-minded people. So we went through all the bumps in the road that marriages go through, and they were difficult, very difficult times. 4 kids and intimacy issues, trust issues, and so that really impacted and made our experience one that we started noticing that was pretty similar to other people out there. And particularly when my wife started going through menopause, things that affect a lot of different women, being a healthcare entrepreneur, she had, pretty deep frustration with the people out there that were not able, primary care doctors that did not have the time to take her on and really do a complete and balanced hormone analysis to really figure out what was going on. And that was affecting our marriage on a lot of different levels. And then to come to find out the women out there that are suffering this, it's an enormous part of the population that go through these challenges on a health level, that women and all the related treatments that are part of that. So leading back to how the company was formed, it was how can healthcare, and what are the misses out there right now, that treatments for both men and women on a sexual wellness level that are medically principled, how can they be brought forth to create really the intimacy and trust back in the relationship? So started talking to a lot of different doctors in the space, urologists, urogynecologists, psychologists, therapists, because we've gone through, quite a bit of our own counseling, and found out there that there was a really dramatic need for both treatment for men and women on the physical level. That was not something that was talked about typically. In issues that men suffer from ED and blood flow issues that really impact the marriage that typically had been heretofore left in the stainless steel environments and offices of the urologist, as opposed to a comfortable discussion about the emotional impact and relationship impact that they might be going through and suffering from men's ED. And listen, the inhibitors, Viagra and Cialis, and the company Get Roman really initiated the first normalization of those conversations. But to me, it was also, being a curious entrepreneur, was leaving out a major treatment that was available for men that was natural, non-invasive, and improved the blood flow levels in those areas that would make a tremendous difference. And then as I started doing research and talking to psychologists and looking at this on a business level, I saw how big the market was for men and women. And I was, it was confusing to me because there was such an important part of our relationship, my wife and I. The one thing that we were always successful with is we talk things through. We were always straight with each other. We didn't hide things from one another, and that was really beneficial to keeping the trust in our marriage. So we were very open about talking these issues that she was feeling with her menopause and so forth, and all these different things that are there that couples, we started realizing, really don't talk about this. And then that led to, and I was personally witnessing this, a lot of trouble in marriages that, had they been dealt with, with a real openness and honesty, probably could have saved the marriages and saved a lot of different families. So this all kind of mixed together in a business that I saw that there was nothing out there, and that was the treatment of both men and women with medically principled treatments for sexual wellness that was done with the credibility of the doctors behind it, but done in a way that was an elegant concierge spa type of feel where people could have open, honest conversations with the treatments. So, and it seemed to be out there in a large place where it was, really unrecognized as far as what was available. So that being for the men, the blood flow issues that are related to ED and the embarrassing and sometimes emotional issues that go along with that. And that creates, dramatic effects on the mental health and on the relationship. And for women struggling through the areas of menopause, and then another one that was really common in discovering and investigating this industry was the urinary incontinence that women face after childbirth. Leakage, women sneezing, coughing, and peeing a little bit. And I had no idea how rampant this was. And so we really investigated and found a wonderful non-invasive treatment for that women can really literally over their lunch be treated, that for all intents and purposes will cure or almost cure any urinary incontinence issues. And then the side effects are improved lubrication, improved sensitivity that creates stronger intimacy with the treatments with their partners. So these things on a business level combined both men and women. And we're, with our treatment, with our company, we're agnostic to sexual preference. That's people's personal, private things that they keep in their homes, and we honor that. So with us, it was really getting out there and then developing side by side with that a digital platform for counseling, therapy, coaching of dating and so forth, on a digital platform that gave instant access to people that were interested in hearing about this more and making it an easy introduction to bring up the subject and talk about it. So the idea was to combine everything and make it available everywhere for men and women, anywhere, anytime, everywhere. So that's something that we've accomplished right now with Rise Medical. I'm really proud of what we've done, and we're looking forward to bringing discussion open to people, to helping people that out there that may heretofore have not been able to kind of find help in this area or even start the conversation.
Well, that certainly does give us some good background and understand the motivation and the reason for getting in the space as well. Tremendous. And thanks for the full coverage on that. Now, tell us, looking at a business perspective here, what was your background before Rise Medical, and how did you become an expert in this field?
Yeah, thank you. I was fortunate enough to found a recovery company that was dealing with addiction and recovery. And for one reason or another, I've been an entrepreneur since I was a young kid, worked on Wall Street for a couple of years, had my own firm, and then was in the fortunate position about 15 years ago of being an entrepreneur where I was seeing a lot of different deals in a lot of different industries. And so for me as an entrepreneur, I kind of followed the 4 C's. That's the curiosity, the creation, the critiquing, and the crusading of a deal or a business. So I was always fascinated by other entrepreneurs and was able to see different offerings in different industries. So one of the things that came out of that area for the company that I founded, and we're just waiting for a device for approval in the FDA that's a wonderfully effective device that eliminates or greatly reduces the cravings that alcoholics and addicts suffer from, as opposed to trying to white knuckle through it. It's an actual medicine that's completely safe and that really assists on a medical level, fighting those innate cravings that the people suffer from. So for me, on a scale of the business, I looked at the overall marketplace. People are always going to be desire intimacy with their partners, and that is something at a base human level. When all superficialities are dropped, everything is really at its core essence. The intimacy and trust and love and kindness that we have in human beings, it's universal. It really is. So when we started going through this business, and I looked at what's out there in the marketplace right now. Certainly, there are the inhibitors. That's the virus, Cialis, and the Dalipril for the men's ED, effective, and the entree into that market in the early 2000s was effective. They made it normal to talk about with the commercials. And then to credit a company, Get Roman, that made it even more normal to talk about it on a digital level to privately order those inhibitors. So I looked at the whole marketplace and saw a gap, certainly with women, that was out there, and there was no company doing for both men and women, and on a platform that not only had locations for the treatments and the same products that you can buy online, but also a digital platform combining those two things with intimacy. So one of the things on a business level, one of my favorite books is Blue Ocean Strategy, and that really informs and instructs entrepreneurs to look for open water. Where's the open water where there's no competition, no blood in the water? There's something new and different, a service or problem that's being solved for people that had not existed before. And one of the things, going back, as I mentioned earlier, that was important to me, we were so lucky as a married couple, my wife and I. We really went through it all, ups and downs, counseling, being kicked out of the house for a couple months, get my shit straight, and so forth. And the kids that we raised, thankfully, were balanced because they saw that we never hid anything from them. So looking at that and finding our situation to be relatable, not only on the treatment level, but on a relationship level, when a lot of couples' relationships sometimes get stale after raising the kids, they grow apart. And I always felt if we have a company that can treat physically the medically principled in a medically principled way, the things that are suffering, hormone balancing, the treatment of men's ED with natural treatments, urinary incontinence that almost universally women go through, and then combine that and say, hey, let's look at this holistically. Where's your relationship right now? Where's the intimacy in your relationship, and how might you find that? What are the different ways you can do that? So a couple examples that we felt was really helpful. Again, just start with the therapy. We went through couples therapy, big believer in that, and we see so many couples that don't do that, that had they taken the step, they might have saved their marriage and saved their family a tremendous amount of heartache. This isn't to be, naive and say that all marriages can work and different people should have never gotten married. But if we as a company, and it was interesting to me on a business level because the market was that big, and being able to help that many people, that through some open conversations of medically principled treatments that we can offer, while also addressing the honest conversations about their relationships, that was something we felt was going to be a platform that people would find interesting on an information level, on a treatment level, and a way to improve their relationships. So we combine all that, which I think we've done a pretty good job doing at Rise Medical. We've got wide open space and wide open blue oceans to get out there and inform people to take the step and make these conversations normal, that it's okay to talk about. Not only is it okay, it's incredibly beneficial. And just as to go on a little bit, the conversations that we've had with some of our patients have just been unbelievable. I will tell you, we've had some life-changing experiences and conversations with people, men, for example, that were not sharing that they were suffering from ED with their partner. When they got the treatment and the dialogue opened up between the husband and wife, the intimacy grew because there was a revelation of personal things that were really distressful for the person or the man in that situation, and inviting his wife to understand, this is what's been going on with me, honey, medically. I've had some wonderful conversations of guys that were doing things that certain treatments that you can do without their wives even know they were doing it. And then so we've had some wonderful patient situations where the wife is referring the husband, the husband is referring the wife, and they're going through that very personal issue together. And then combining with that, well, let's look at our relationship and ways that we can improve that on an intimacy level that just builds trust and love, keeps families together, creates happiness for everyone. So on a big picture level, that's kind of the grand scheme of what really attracted me as a business level, to serve and treat that many people to improve lives. and also bring some innovative medically principled treatments that heretofore really not talked about. They're not known, and it's been an amazing journey on that level to find how little information is there in the marketplace of people knowing about these types of treatments and the overall approach.
Now, Mr. Markel, there are many services that are offered when you go to your general physician to inquire about help in sexual wellness. What is offered at Rise, and what sets you guys apart from standard protocols?
Yeah, first of all, it's the patient experience. It's a great question, and that was really meaningful to us. The patient experience that doctors' officers set up, it's a difficult situation. The doctor's business is set up to see as many patients. They've got insurance payments and so forth. So typically the doctor's business is 12 to 15 minutes with each patient. Thanks so much. We'll check on your file, and then off you go. So the patient experience of being able to talk about something intimate, their sexual wellness, to relax in an environment that is a concierge elevated experience that's purposely meant to be comfortable and open. We sit down with our patients, both the men and the women, and knowing that it may be an hour conversation we have in a really comfortable setting. And what's been amazing with that, both for the men and women, once that set is happening and the patients and our clients realize there's no rush in getting them out of there and that their file is going to be on the door of the next patients in 15 minutes they're out. It's been amazing the open conversation we've had about deep medical issues that also inevitably become part of the emotional and mental health of the patients, being able to describe that. So that experience with what we're providing for patients is critical. The treatments for men's ED that we're really excited about, and it's been used really as a standard of care in Europe, is shockwave treatment. It's 100% natural. There's no invasive surgery or anything. It just creates better blood flow, and you're treating the male anatomy just like you would any other muscle that you're training. To improve angiogenesis, that's blood flow, new blood vessels that enable that part of the anatomy to work better. It's that simple. If you don't use it, it begins to atrophy. There begins plaque buildup in the blood vessels of that area. And when we're approaching that with men, and it's such a simple approach like that, they really understand it. And then it will greatly relieve the need for medication, greatly eliminate, for the most part, Trimix, which is a shot form that allows men to perform sexually by giving themselves a shot in the anatomy, or the ultimate, and that is an implant. So all of those treatments over a 3-month period that we provide with different parts of that treatment that we make the patient make sure that they're compliant and deal with that treatment. We've had wonderful success in improving not only ED but also Peyronie's disease, where there's curvature in the male anatomy. And for the women, same thing. The treatment we have, it's 5V that we researched. It's non-laser. It's non-invasive. It's a treatment that a woman could have on her lunch. She can be done with that treatment, and literally within days, it solves the problem of urinary incontinence. And the benefits on the side, pretty cool benefits, is it improves lubrication and sensitivity for the women. And when they're being intimate with their partners. Then full, complete hormone balancing with really detailed blood panels that are not what you would have in the chop shops, what I consider out there. Oh, come by and get us testosterone, or do this, do that, get an implant, but deeply analyzed on natural supplements that can be provided, really having a deep understanding of where you are as a patient. And just on a medical level, listen, the federal government's involved with our medical records there. By a mandate by October of this year, we all need to have digital access to all of our personal medical records. The government has deemed that we must own our own personal medical records. And having those, a complete panel and a complete snapshot of your overall health, and dealing with that health on the intimacy levels with the sexual wellness as a pillar of health, we really are we're excited to offer and bring that to the marketplace that's comfortable for all men and women.
Well, certainly has been insightful, informational, and really do appreciate your taking a moment to give us some good, thorough coverage here. One last question for you as we conclude. Male and female services are offered at Rise for sexual wellness, but also explain how Rise can also treat the couple stemming from TeleRise, a therapeutic online service, to medical treatments, and walk us through and explain that process as we wrap things up today.
No, that's a great question, Eric, and thanks for the opportunity to describe what we call TeleRise, and that is our own proprietary telemedicine platform that is a comprehensive approach to intimacy, couples counseling with psychologists, therapists, counselors and coaches, the best that we'll have in the entire country. So you can see out in the marketplace right now, there's some very successful telemedicine platforms that deal with primary care issues, which are wonderful in telemedicine since the pandemic has exploded. With our company, with Rise Medical, we want to own the space of intimacy, counseling, coaching that can provide the access instantly and have the ability on our site to look at multiple different therapists, find the right one, look at their background, so it's not just a referral from a friend, and what might fit for them that they can do on an individual basis to as specific as dating coaching for both men and women, for couples counseling that is specific to one's religion and takes into consideration what the right fit with our doctors that we're assembling around the country right now for that type of access. And even things as we consider fun but realistic and things on an anecdotal level that my wife and I dealt with. We're both Catholic. And we remember we got lucky, right? So we've been married for 31 years. But our experience on couples counseling with the Catholic Church, it's not to criticize them. I think they do their best. But it was about a 20-minute conversation with our wonderful 70-year-old Irish priest, and knew our parents said, "You guys are great kids. Good luck to you. We'll see you on Saturday when we get you married." And that was it. So think of what we can offer on that level to couples that are young couples with computers in their hands and saying, "Hey, why don't we sit down and go to Rise and get with a couple that's been married for 30 years or 2 or 3 couples and hear from them directly on our Telerise platform of what they would say are the important elements when entering into a life commitment." Again, agnostic to the preference there. So combining all those things on our telemedicine platform as we bring this to the market in the near future, we're super excited to do that on a comprehensive level.
Well, I'm sure the listeners are interested in getting more information. Where can they go online to get further details on Rise Medical and any other pertinent information or contact opportunities? Where's the best place online to do so?
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, absolutely. Go to our website. That's risemedical.com, spelled just like it sounds, risemedical.com, and there's a wealth of information there, and I think people will find it really interesting and fascinating, opening up the conversations. And some of the best things we've had is wives introducing their husband to the idea, husbands introducing the wives to the idea. So we really created a community and a partnership of health with all men and women that come visit us at the site.
A tremendous resource. Again, folks, it is risemedical.com. Mr. Markel, all the best. Thanks for spending a moment with us here today on eHealth Radio.
Thank you. Great to be on.
And the pleasure was certainly ours. We've been speaking with Mr. Dan Markel, the founder and CEO of Rise Medical, a first-of-its-kind community of medical professionals and sexual wellness experts dedicated to the personalized treatment of vitality issues through integrative care. And for all the details, once again, visit risemedical.com. And again, this has been your host, Eric Michaels, and we do thank you for your continued support of the eHealth Radio Network. Join us again soon for another episode that will help further expand your knowledge on those things that are important to your health and wellness. For more eHealth Radio reports, we invite you to visit our main radio channel site at eHealthRadioNetwork.com. And as always, we do thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in to the eHealth Radio Network. For more information or to subscribe to this podcast, visit eHealthRadioNetwork.com.